rc.com. Today, not really showing off any products, but going to talk about batteries a little bit. We were the first to sell an extended flight battery for the DJI Phantom, a 2700 milliamp battery. Now we've got a 2800, about the same size. And we noticed that a lot of the Phantom people have more problems with their batteries than anybody else, and it's not because of the battery. What we've learned is a lot of people have not used LiPo batteries before, and they're not quite familiar with the discharge and the characteristics of a LiPo battery. I'm going to start very simple here for you Phantom guys that have never used these before. Just going to start ground zero. That way everybody's at the same starting ground. This is our new 2800 milliamp 3.1 volt battery. It's not mAh, it's milliamp hour. That's why it's a little m, capital A, so you get the pronunciation right. So that also would be 2.8 amp hour batteries. 11.1 is the voltage. And it's 11.1 because there's three batteries in here actually. There's three little cells. Each cell is 3.7 volts. Put them all together, get 11.1. This wire coming out, this is your balance tap. Each one of these wires, the red wire is positive, negative, and then that crosses over to the other battery, and that's how you get them in series. This is the battery is wired in series. If it was parallel, it would extend the capacity, the milliamps. Series increases the voltage. This lead is your discharge lead, red and black. Very important not to mix those up. One of the characteristics of a LiPo battery is they don't like to be fully discharged. It will be dead. So what this means when you're flying your Phantom, if your warning lights come on and you land it and you go, oh well, let me just fly it back. Well, you're continuing to draw more current capacity out of this battery, and it's going to get to a point where the battery's dead. And luckily the Phantom does come with some protection in there, but it's really easy for you as a user to kind of go past that. You know, oh, it landed 10 feet away, let me just fly it back. Well, lithium polymer batteries, if you go below their minimum voltage, that's it. There isn't a second chance. You can't revive them. The batteries are going to be degraded, and eventually you're going to either swell a little bit or they're just done. This device I have here, invaluable. This is called a LiPo. Dual Sky, another battery company that we worked with, actually developed this and has licensed it for other people. You might see these marketed under different names, but Dual Sky was the originator of these. So what I do with this, and the reason I brought it up here, is I put this in here, and it's going to show me my individual cell voltages of each cell. So this battery, cell 1 is 4.16, cell 2 is 4.16, cell 3 is 4.16. That's a sign of a good battery. If you get a battery from somebody, you plug it into a device like this, and these things are all over the place, the battery's garbage basically, because they're all the cells are connected, they should be close. Now, the reason this is important is your battery shouldn't go below about 3.8 volts under no load. And if it does, that's when you're going to start to have issues, because once you start drawing power from the battery, i.e. running your Phantom, the battery voltage is going to drop. If it gets below 3 or 2.8, 2.7, the battery's bad. And the reason you have to be careful is because this is the tricky part. When you plug this battery in the Phantom, you don't plug this part in. You plug in this part. So what your Phantom measures is the total pack capacity. Okay? So these two wires are connected to this cell and this cell. So you're measuring 11.1, 12.6, whatever, the full pack. This connector measures each cell voltage. So the reason that's important is because on your Phantom, let's say you've got two cells that are charged up good, and the other one didn't charge really well, either because of the charger or the battery. That one cell can drop below its minimum cutoff voltage, but the pack, the whole cumulative voltage of all three batteries put together, can still stay above your minimum cutoff voltage on your Phantom. So that's why it's really important to make sure that the batteries are properly charged before you go fly, because they'll also last longer. And the way you could do that is get a little device like these. We sell these on our website. They're 20 bucks. There's other cheaper ones out there. The reason I like this particular model is you can read this in the sunlight. The ones with the cheap LED screens you can't see in the sun. And I usually am flying in the sun, so I like this guy. So if you take your battery off your charger and all your battery cells don't look like that one just did, they'll probably be a little higher, maybe 4.19 or 4.2. But if they're not all even, the charger isn't charging your battery properly. And Also too, if you get done flying, you can check your batteries too. Now someone asked me, how much should I discharge my battery to? Well, I always fly on a timer. I think it's a great backup method. But basically, if you fly and you put 80% back in your battery, you did a good job. If you put 100% back into your battery, you didn't do a very good job. This is a 2800 milliamp. If you charge this up and put 2,750 milliamps back into your battery, then you went way too low. So it should be about 80% of this battery, or each battery's capacity, is what you put back into it. So the next question is, people ask me, is what's the best way to make my battery last longer? Really easy. One, charge it the first time you use it, discharge it just for like a minute or two, put it back on the charger. Do that for 2 or 3 cycles just to get the battery warmed up, as they say. Then when you fly, always fly on a timer and check your flight times. Check how much milliamps you're putting in. If you're flying for 6 minutes and you notice that that's really a good number for you, then realize that if you're flying on a very windy day or you're doing maybe a more aggressive flying, you're going to use more of your battery, so maybe bring your timer down to 5.5 or 5 minutes. It's always better to land and just put another battery in than to ruin the battery that you've got. However, we'd be more than happy to sell you another one. The other way to make your batteries last longer is to always balance charge them, which means this should be plugged into a charger somewhere and not just this one. If you're just plugging in this, again, it's the same thing. The charger's only looking at the pack voltage, not necessarily each individual cell. Another way to make your batteries last longer is put them on storage charge. Most good chargers now, I'm not too familiar with the Phantom charger, so I'm not too particular if it has this or not. But most of the good chargers now will have a storage button. You hit that, it discharges the battery to about 60–65%, and that's a very good storage voltage for the battery. You store it there, and it can stay there in that voltage for about 3 to 4 months without damaging it. If you store your batteries full for an extended period of time, that actually degrades the performance of the battery and its life. The other thing to make your batteries last longer is just be nice to them. Don't step on them, throw them in the dirt, throw them around. And also don't leave them sitting around after they've been discharged. If you went flying, use 80% of your battery, and then you leave the battery sitting on your counter for 2 weeks, the battery is going to discharge, and if it gets below that minimum voltage, that's it, the battery's dead. Well, that's what I wanted to go over today real quick on these batteries. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact us at sales@twodogrc.com or visit our website, twodogrc.com. Thank you.